Imagine going into a virtual interview feeling completely confident, like you already belong in that role. You're prepared, you're polished, and you're really making a connection with the people on the other side of the screen. Well, that is what I want for you. And that is why today I'm sharing with you my top tips for acing the virtual interview. If we haven't met before, I'm Monique, and I have over 2 decades, yes, 24 years of navigating office life. I've worked in corporations, nonprofits, higher ed, big offices, small offices. I have obviously interviewed for many jobs myself over the years, and I have also sat on dozens of hiring committees over the years and interviewed many candidates. I am about to share with you the best strategies that I have learned that will help you stand out and land that job. Like everything on this channel, I always start out with mindset. Tip number one is change your mindset. You're not just looking at the screen. Humanize the people that you are going to be interviewing with. Don't think of it as just a job interview. Think of it as a valuable opportunity to connect. At the end of the day, these are people just like you. They have goals, they have dreams, they have things to do outside of work. The trick is how to find a way to connect. Find out as much as you can about each person interviewing you. If they have a LinkedIn profile, look for common ground on your work backgrounds or your education backgrounds. For example, you may find that you and one of the interviewers attended the same school. You can pivot that into a meaningful question or discussion if you have time to say, oh, I noticed that you also attended XYZ University. How did your time there shape your experience working in the field? Or how did your time there prepare you for this career? Even if you think that the chances of you getting this job is slim because there are so many people out there vying for the same role, still push through, still aim to make the connection, because you never know. Even if they go with another candidate, they may still really like you if you leave the right impression and then think of you for another role. And one interesting story is that once I interviewed for 2 positions within a week of each other. Both positions were given to internal candidates. It was no problem. I got another job pretty much like 2 weeks later, so it worked out. But I kept in touch with the interviewers because I actually genuinely liked them and thought they were interesting. And about 2 years later, both of them reached out to me separately for different jobs that they had in mind for me. And I ended up going with one of them. So you never know who you're going to meet, and you never know what opportunities lie ahead, right? Like, things happen for a reason. People come into our lives for a reason. And sometimes it's not for an opportunity that's meant for now. It's for an opportunity that's meant for later. Tip number 2, pay attention to how you look. I'm not saying that you need to be a supermodel or anything like that, or have perfect studio lighting. First impressions matter, especially on camera. So make sure that you are looking into the camera when you speak to your interview panel. Don't look at yourself on the screen, because then you're going to be kind of looking off into the distance. And certainly, please don't do this. Don't look at another screen while your camera is shooting the side of your face, and make sure that your camera is head on. I was recently in an interview where the candidate had a camera shooting from down below and they were looking off to the side. It really threw the whole vibe of the interview off, and we really felt disconnected from the person that we were interviewing. So please be mindful of where you're positioned within the frame of the camera. Also, eliminating as much distraction from your video call as possible is key. It's already a high stress enough situation for both parties. And I think the cleaner you can keep the line of sight, the better. Plus, you will be the sole focus of attention, and they won't have anything to drift off to think about. They're not going to be looking at that pile of paper on your desk and wondering, oh, what's all that paper for? Or they're not going to be seeing your cat sleeping in the background. I would put on a jacket. I know you're at home. I know it's virtual. You might even be applying for a virtual position. But if you put a jacket on, it still signals, hey, I have made an effort to be here. I am serious about this role. And it's not easy to misconstrue your outfit. You have a jacket, it signals interview. Whereas sometimes, even though you might have a nice blouse on or a nice shirt or an expensive shirt or sweater, it doesn't always translate as professional attire or interview attire on the other side of the screen. So to eliminate any kind of misunderstanding, throw a jacket on. Number 3, act like you want to be there. I can't tell you the number of people that I have interviewed who just look like they're bored to death, like they're just trying to find any job, and it really comes through. Now, I understand nerves. I'm a kind person and I do have a certain degree of empathy, but I do have a threshold too, right? And if I'm going to make this commitment to you as a hiring manager, I need to know that you are excited to work with me and the company that we represent. If you're just giving an interview, hi, my name is Monique, and yes, I'm here today to talk about the position with you. Yeah, and I want this job because I need a paycheck. This is what comes through if you're not putting a certain level of energy into your interview. So instead of slouching like this, make sure your shoulders are back, head up. You don't need to over exaggerate it, but just kind of sit up straight, lean into the camera, and really smile with your eyes. Remember Tyra Banks? It's really important to show enthusiasm, right? Nothing great was ever accomplished without enthusiasm. So what you want to do is present to the interview panel that you are excited about this role. I always like to start off interviews with, it is so nice to meet everyone. I am really excited to be here and so grateful for the opportunity to talk to you today. And then that right there sets a tone of not only excitement, but of gratitude. All you need is just a little bit more energy than in real life too, because you just lose a little something on camera. So bounce up your energy just a bit. Another thing you can do if you're not that excited about the job, but you just need a job, you can reframe your brain on the other end. They don't have to see this, but what would excite you about this job? Think, okay, I am going to get an awesome paycheck. I'm going to get a paycheck if I get this job. Yes, that's awesome. What has this company or organization created or done in the last year that I can get excited about? And even that you can share with them. I'm really excited about the work you have been doing in this field, and I'm excited to contribute to this organization. People want to feel like you want them, right? Like it doesn't matter that this is just a job. They want to feel like you actually want to work there. My final tip is post-interview. So you've gone through the interview, you're feeling really good about it. Now what do? Send a thank you note immediately. You can get email addresses through the contact that you talk to. And if they're not comfortable giving you the addresses of the people on the panel, then say, hey, I'm going to write a note for each person and send that to you in attachments so that they can then forward the thank you note to the appropriate parties. Now, here's a tip for thank you notes. I would recommend tailor a thank you letter for each person. So for example, you can say, Dear Monique, It was great to meet you. Thank you for taking time to speak with me today. I was so excited to meet a fellow XYZ alumni. Or, dear John, thank you for taking the time out to meet with me. It was so interesting to hear about the work that you have been doing on this project, right? Because during the interview, little tidbits do come up if you ask the right questions. So you can tailor thank you notes for each person, and it's really important to send them to each person on the panel. Check the description box below on how to get my free thank you email template. Sometimes things move really fast and they're just going through a lot of different candidates. So I would recommend sending it as soon as possible, but don't wait more than 12 hours before you send the thank you notes. Now, here's something that people really don't do. Once you've sent out your virtual notes, I would handwrite a thank you note to each person. Again, ask that contact in the same email where you're asking for the email addresses. Say, I would like to follow up with a personal thank you note. What is the best address to send them to? I know that the last time I interviewed for a job, there were 5 people on my panel, and I wrote every single one of them a handwritten note after I sent them an email note. And I emailed the HR person, and she gave me a standardized address, and I sent everyone the letters. And I got the job. So why do this? Because I know it seems really old-fashioned, but sometimes old-fashioned can be an upper hand. Imagine getting a beautiful handwritten note from somebody in the mail. We don't get snail mail anymore. It's very rare. And so if I were to get a thank you note from somebody, it would definitely leave a good impression. Another thing is I just feel like it never hurts to send gratitude out into the world, right? To actually physically handwrite it down and mail it off into the world. Gratitude is such an important and beautiful thing, and it can never go wrong when you're expressing thanks. Perhaps the most important tip I have for you is believe in yourself. You've already made it through the HR filters. You've already made it through the HR generalist screening process. Remember, you're qualified for this role, and you are having a valuable opportunity to have face-to-face time with people in your industry. If you're interested in learning more about interview techniques, please let me know in the comments below. All right, take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.